What's up, Addicts? I'm Michael.
And I'm Josh.
And today we're reviewing Arifureta Volume 3, the third one.
My favorite series. So, I can say that because this is mine, and then Dalmas Teachers, but we both equally enjoy it. And we're going to be talking about Volume 3. And I'm going to start with giving you the plot. So, this takes place, I guess it takes a little, like a couple days after the events of the second volume. They are still in the town that they were in previously, and they're getting ready to leave to go to Furun. It's the capital city for like merchants and stuff like that, and also one of the guild headquarters is there, or the bigger versions of it. And so they're going there, and they it doesn't really say. I guess they were just wanting to get it for like a pit stop before they go to the next labyrinth. They end up taking a job to get there, so they're traveling with a convoy. But they get inside the city. They actually become acquainted with one of the higher-ups in the guild, who gives them a quest to go on a rescue mission to save. He's like I guess he's like a noble son or whatever. So they have to travel to this town called because it's the place where this guy that they were rescuing was last seen there. So they're gonna go there and then explore that area. And in the meantime of that, we also see the other classmates. They're back at the castle or wherever they hang out and do nothing at. And we get to see that some of them are starting to, I guess, bounce back from the traumatizing events of when they saw Hajime die. And so some of them decide to travel with Aiko to help her in her travels because she has to go and
Fertilize some crops.
Yeah, fertilize some crops. That's exactly right. And so they are actually going to as well. And this is when we get a reunion of Hajime and some of his classmates. And, later we get to see a introduction of a new character that Hajime gets acquainted with. And it's basically his group and these new characters, and they get to battle it out at the very end in this probably biggest battle we've seen in the book yet. So, and that's basically all I'm going to go into because there is a lot of little details that happens. But Michael's going to take it over with the characters.
So there's some new characters. We have same old Hajime, same old Yu in this one. We have like 8 characters-ish that are important, semi-important. Ilwa is the kind of representative at the guild that we get to know more about. You have Will. He's someone who needs their help and is not very survivable, let's say.
Yeah, he's not very capable.
Then we have Tio, who is a character, and it's in herself. You get to find more about who she is, and I won't kind of spoil it because in the book you get an interesting introduction to her. And then we have Yukio Tashi.
That's as good as it's ever going to sound.
We have a classmate who may have collaborated with the known traitor that we know about in the previous books. And you'll see how they're connected. And they're connected to someone else who we get an introduction to.
Yes.
But we'll get more on them later. And then we have Aiko, who's the teacher. She's literally just, her power is being able to produce better crops.
Yeah, and they call her like the goddess of fertility or something like that.
Yeah. So her job is just to go around the country and, I don't know, whatever she does, fertilize crops. I don't know how.
Keep them living.
Yeah,
not
touch the crops or something. We got Yuka, an individual and a classmate that Hajime saved back before he brutally murders people. And then we have a group of male students. They're called like the Goddess Guard. They go around and they try to watch Aiko and strive for her affection, which is a little creepy, but that's what they do. And they get into confrontation with Hajime quite a bit in this one. So
yes, which getting on to probably our favorite moments. There's a lot of I guess bigger events that happen in this that are not necessarily in line with their goals. Because we don't get to see any labyrinths at all in this book, but we do get to see some other big moments, like like we said, the reunion between them. Which, gosh, that freaking interaction's so good. Seeing just how much he's changed, like just playing off, go away. I don't know you. So that was definitely one of my most liked moments. There's just so much that goes on there where everybody, like, some people are speechless, other people are like pressing him for answers, and other people are like, hey, I don't like you because you like are getting all the teachers' attention, like, what's up, you know? And there's just a mixture of everything. Plus, not only do you get like the interaction between him and the classmates / Aiko, you also get to see, you know, his traveling companions like you and Shia and their interactions with these people that know him or come from the same place as him, which is pretty great. What were one of
so in this one, there's quite a few moments that I really liked. The enemy in this one is pretty cool. They have the big fight at the end, which Josh mentioned earlier. I really liked that one. You have Hajime utilizing some different kinds of weapons. You basically have everyone on the crew being utilized. Even Tio, the new character, does quite a bit in this battle.
Yeah, you get to see... we get a peek a little bit of how strong she is when she's first introduced, but this battle you get to really see everybody's... Not really necessarily like their... the maximum of their abilities, but you just get to see how powerful they are in the sense that they're dealing with this threat relatively with ease.
So yeah, you get to see that. You get to see their classmates' reactions. I really like towards the end where Hajime makes a decision that the rest of the individuals in the class wouldn't make. Or he's just like, yeah, but this is what we need to do. And you get some of his motivations behind the actions in the conversations with you in this book, and then I think later on as well. Mm-hmm. And you still have Hajime pushing his ideology all over the place.
Yeah, the battle was really great, and I think it's probably one of the best highlights. But like Michael was saying, there's a part where maybe somebody challenges his ideals a little bit in terms of just asking him to reevaluate some things. And you get a little bit of a peek, and, you know, it does definitely play into the story and his character changing a bit. But I love that even with some subtle changes, he's the same character in the sense. Like, it's not a drastic change because he's just like, well, you know, I've lived like this for a while. It's going to take some time. So don't expect anything too soon. So, but one of the other things, it's like a smaller moment, but I really liked when he was talking with Yuka, like on the battlefield right before he goes fights. He's just like, because the book's like, yeah, you're like triggering her flashbacks of almost dying. You know, sounds a lot. Or where she's like trying to tell him thank you, and he's just like, what? Like, who are you?
Yeah, his attitude to his classmates are pretty great in this one, and I'm excited to see what will happen in book 4 when he meets some of the people that he was closer to, or that were his enemies. So you get to see more of that.
Yeah, which I guess we can start with our rating. Michael, you want to hit us up on that?
I'm totally not ready. This book, it's kind of an in-between book for me. Some of the moments with Tio, they do handle it in an interesting way because she's a weird character once you get introduced. Once she gets introduced, pretty much. But I still like the dynamic the four of them create in the book. I think they still stabilize it because they have the two core people. And you have Shia taking up the role of kind of in the middle, being close to them, but not, you know, you and Hajime are still probably the center focus, I would say. So if I had to give it a rating, I think I'd stick with a 9, a FFA. It's kind of in between. It's borderline between an 8 and a 9 for me, but I really like the battle. I like they explain more about his ideology, and I like the end, kind of how he resolves the conflict with the student that's evil. So,
yeah, for me, I think it's the same thing. I'd give it a low FFA, and that's mainly just because this one seems like it has maybe a little bit less intense action. There's still like the last like quarter of the book is very action heavy with a big battle. Which I think is one of the highlights of this book. But, you know, we don't get to see much fighting besides that, but it makes up for it in its interactions. Because, I mean, half of the entertaining part of this series, I think, is just seeing Hajime's, like, don't give a crap attitude and how he thinks of other people, but retaining, you know, intimacy and, like, humanity with the people closest to him. And so you get to see more of that. So I think the only reason why I wouldn't rank it any higher is because there's not as much action, but I still think it's amazing in what it presents.
Yeah, and I also like the, you get some inner thoughts of the teacher, which are pretty hilarious towards the end of the book. And I don't remember if it says this particular line, but there's one line that like talks about like her future feelings and stuff, and it's pretty great.
Yeah, there's. It's a good thing you brought that up because there's only one gripe I have about this volume 3, and that's you get subtle. Well, maybe not so subtle, but you get some like interactions with like Yu's thoughts of Shia, and you can definitely tell that she's getting more accepting of her, but she says some things that I don't necessarily know how to feel about, in the sense of she like blatantly says, and like earlier in the book, that she's like open to Hajime having like multiple relations, like physical relations with other people, as long as his heart's still with her. And it's kind of like, that's not okay. That's a really messed up way of thinking. But they do it in such a like, it's like one of those things where but I don't know. I guess the part that makes it okay is that he's not up for that at all, or at least not where we see him. But I don't know. I think that's one area where they gotta tread lightly.
That's one thing where the author, I think, is trying to make a decision if he's going to go that route or the other, or just stick. And I really hope he sticks where he is. I mean, she is really cool, so I understand. But like, let's not widen the pool to like 6 women, because that kind of like defeats the point.
It's like if you have a freaking harem, that's not gonna be okay. I mean, if you're strongest in the world, I guess you can do whatever, but...
I don't know. It's not my kind of series. Like, it's another series where... I mean, the 3 or 4 women are involved are all, like, cool characters, but it's like, it takes away from...
Yeah. That's why I'm okay with it right now, because he's, like, absolutely shuts down anybody besides you. But, it's just one of those things where I'm like, don't go in this direction, please. But, I don't know. It's not something that hinders my enjoyment at all right now, but it's just something that I'm going to be watching out for. And it's like, you don't just freaking take them out if you need to. But anyway, guys, that'll conclude this review. We're going to be trying to get Volume 4 out as soon as we can, because this is a series that we're going to try to catch up with like we did with Dalmachi. So stay tuned for that.
Before Red Dead comes out.
Yeah, we're going to try, because the next book comes out around the same time. So we'll see. But if you guys want to follow any of our other stuff, you can check down in the description. I'll have links for the social media accounts and our podcast if you want to listen to that. And be sure to stay tuned for our other reviews, as we do anime, light novels, movies, TV, whatever, games. We got it.
Yeah.
He might be doing something with that, so we'll see. But anyway, guys, that'll be it. Later, Addicts.
Later.